Hello friends, welcome to my channel Learn with Reshu. Today I came with a very interesting topic, dependency injection. So before going to start dependency injection, I want you to please subscribe my channel to get more videos related to interesting topics on Java, C Sharp and other languages. I have started series on Spring Framework and I will upload many interesting videos on that topic. So please keep watching my videos so that you will get more knowledge, and please click the bell icon so that you will get my notification whenever I upload a new video. So let's start. Okay, in software engineering, dependency injection is a technique where one object supplies the dependency of another object. Okay, so what it means, like a dependency is an object that can be used. For example, suppose if you have a class client A, and here you have a dependency, you have another variable service B, service variable. So client A class is dependent on service B class here. So if client A wants to call getInfo method, so he needs to create the object of service B. Am I right? Yes. So what it means, like, so here class B is a dependency for class A. Okay, so dependency means dependency or dependent means relying on something for support. Like if I say we are relying too much on mobile phones, that it means we are dependent on them. So here class B is dependent, client A is dependent on service B class for calling the getInfo method. Okay, so before getting to dependency injection, first let's understand what a dependency in programming means. So I hope you understand by this, like when client A uses some functionality of class service B, then it said client A has a dependency of service B, class service B. Okay. So in Java, before we can use methods of other classes, we first need to create the object of that class. So for getting the information, for calling the method getInfo, first we need to create the object of service B class here, so that we can call the method getInfo. Okay. So what it means, what it means, I have explained. So transferring the task of creating the object to someone else and directly using the dependency is called dependency injection. So what I'm saying is, here if you want to call this getInfo method in your do something method in class client A, you need to create a method object of service B class here, so that you can call the getInfo method. But suppose if somebody else give you an object of class B and say, hey, here is the object of class B, you can use it and call any method of class B class. Then you say, wow, so that is called dependency injection. Transferring the task of creating the object to someone else and directly using the dependency is called dependency injection. So how can we achieve this? And why should I use dependency injection? Let's say we have a car. Okay, we have a car class which contain various objects as wheels, engines, etc. So car class is responsible for creating all dependency objects. Okay. Now, what if we decide to ditch wheels? For example, it is using MRF wheels, for example, and we want that no, now car should not use MRF wheels, it should use for example another wheels, another kind of wheels, like for example Yokohama wheels. Okay, so what we need to do, we will need to recreate the car object with a new Yokohama dependency. But look, hold on. But when using dependency injection, we can change the wheels at runtime. And how? Because dependency can be injected at runtime rather than at compile time. So let's look how we can do this. So before we understanding the concept, let us understand how many types of dependency injections we have. So for example, if we look onto the slide, there are three types of dependency injection. First is constructor injection, second is setter injection, and third is interface injection. So constructor injection is the dependency are provided through a class constructor. In this concept, we provide, or the system provide, or the framework provide dependency by using the constructor. In setter injection, the client exposes a setter method that the injector uses to inject the dependency. What it means, like, basically, in dependency injection is is used to so that we do not create an object, or our system should not create an object by new keyword or by direct keywords, like by directly in the code. So that why we do not need to why we don't want that our system should not create objects by new keyword or by directly in the code, because if they do so, the code will be tightly coupled. Why? Because if we create the object in the code itself, then every time when we need to change that particular object to something else, we need to go inside the code, change the code, and recompile our program, recompile our system, and then it's hectic. Same, we cannot reuse that particular part of code because it is dependent on another class. So base, if we change something in base class, if we change something in super class, which is dependency for drive class, then we need to change in the subclass as well. Okay, because they are tightly coupled, so we cannot change anything. And same, if we want to test the application, we cannot test a specific part of the application, we need to test the whole application. And that's why we need dependency injection. What it means, like, that's why we need to tell some another frameworks or some another for example, we need help from another part of the frameworks to give us object, a ready-made object, and we can use in our system. So basically the class work is not to create objects. The work of class is to do the functionality, and the creating of object work is a bonus work for the class. If we give if we use the new keyword, or like if we directly initialize or create an object of the class inside our code. So why we give the burden to the class? We need to make loose coupling, so that if class want to class should work its own work very smoothly, but when it needs object, it just call the framework, is Spring or Google frameworks or any other frameworks, and just call them like, please give me object, and the framework will give the object to the class, and that's it. and this object can be given in three ways: constructor injection, setter injection, and interface injection. Like they can give an object by constructor, they can give an object by from the framework, give an object by constructor, by setter, or we can create an interface to get an object. In the interface injection, the dependency provides a injector method that will inject the dependency into any client passed to it. Client must implement an interface that exposes a setter method that accepts the dependency. So, what is the now question arises: dependency injection responsibilities. What are the responsibilities of the dependency injection? Dependency injection responsibilities are to create the objects, know which class required those objects, and provide them all those objects. That's it. So dependency injection responsibility, what is the dependency injection responsibility? Is basically simply class do not want to create object, it call framework will create object, framework will call or will get information like which class wants which type of objects and provide them the all those objects. Okay, if there is any change in the object, then dependency injection look into it, and it should not concern the class using those objects. This way, if the object change in the future, then it's dependency injection responsible to provide the appropriate object to the class. So same thing, what is inversion of control? Inversion of control is also the concept behind dependency injection. Like inversion of control states that a class should not configure its dependencies statically but should be configured by some other classes from outside. So inversion of control means in the dependency injection we use like another objects or another framework to create an object and give it to us. So this functionality or this concept is known as inversion of control basically. So according to the principle, a class should concentrate on fulfilling its responsibilities and not to create an object that requires to fulfill those responsibilities. As I said earlier, that where dependency injection come into play, it provides the class with the required object. Means like the dependency injection only the functionality of dependency injection is to create object, know which class require those objects and provide them all those objects. Okay, so how it achieve? So as I explained you in my earlier slide, there is a class client A which is dependent on service B class because it and here I forget to write here, for example, if client need to call this get method, it needs to create here service equal to new and service. So don't go with my handwriting because I am writing by the pointer, but the concept is for calling the object get info, client service B needs to create an object. So that's it calls the method get info from the service B class. But for example, if we create two interfaces, client interface and service interface, okay, and for example we have service B, service C, service D, and all services classes implement a service interface and implement a get info methods in according to their requirements. And same for client A class. If client A class implement client interface and override the method do something. So what happened here? What happens here is like when class client A implement client interface, so it can give a dependency in two ways. So class A is now implementing client interface and it uses service interface instead of concrete service B class. So in this case, the actual service implementation is injected to a class via a constructor. So it's called constructor injection. As shown here, you see this is a service interface, and client A is now not depending on a specific implementation of service. Instead of creating an instance of dependent class directly in a client A, the dependency injection container or framework is now responsible for creating that instance and inject into the client A via its constructor. So for example, here service is equals to new service B, client equals to client new client A service, and client dot do something. So implementation of service is service B is created and passed to a client A which is not aware of actual implementing it is using. So like here, this is a reference of service interface, and just here by calling service B, we can call the service B method here and do something. Like we are injecting the service B class in client A by client A don't know, but we are injecting in another way. So it's indirectly injecting the service class object. So constructor injection, setter injection is used to pass, like in if we say setter injection, so setter injection is used to pass the depending object to the dependent one, and setter method in the client A class. Like if we see here, so in the client A class set service, this setter method is used to if in this set service method we are setting new service C. So here by setter method we are injecting a object of service C in the client A class and call the do something method. So we can change to the services implementation, for example here with service C, and that is how we can use in dependency injection. So I hope you understand. Like here you see client A class is implementing client interface and it's using service interface. So here, for example, here you are saying new keyword, but actually this this object service is equals to new service B will not the created by the class. It will created by the this object will be created by the dependency injection and the framework which provide us the dependency injection. Here for explanation I have write here service is equals to new service B, but in actual case when we use Spring framework, so in that case we can achieve dependency injection in three ways. Like we can create a dependency injection by XML file, we can create by annotation, or we can create by Java classes. So when we are using Spring framework, we will create dependency injection by XML file, annotation, or Java class. We will going to have three options, but and those options will create this object. But for making you understand, I have created here the object because I am showing here the dependency injection concept, not the Spring dependency injection concept. So I will, in my next tutorial, I will explain you how in Spring we can implement dependency injection. But for making you understand how this works, because this is a very complex or very difficult topic, so not everybody can understand this. But like I'm not saying anyone can understand if they practice, but yeah, it's difficult topic. But you understand, like by constructor or by setter, we can inject the object here, any class object, and just use that object, as simple as that. So if we understand dependency injection, so for we also know, we should also know what is the advantages and disadvantages of dependency injection. So first we look in benefits or advantages of dependency injection. It helps in unit testing. How? Because if suppose we want, if we use dependency injection, or so we will not totally independent on creating the objects, hard coded the creating the objects. So we can test a unit, and we should not test the whole system. Okay. Because the objects are not created hard codedly, like it is not depending, all classes are not tightly coupled with each other, so we can test a specific part of code by easily. Okay. Boilerplate code is reduced, means like as initializing of dependency is done by the injector component, so we can the code will be reduced, like there will be not so much object initialization lines of codes. Okay. And in extending the application become easier, like we can extend, if we want to, suppose in the future we want to change something in the application, we want to update something in the application, we can update it easier, because the classes are not tightly coupled. And help to enable loose coupling, which is important in application programming. Yeah, it will help in the loose coupling, it will create a loose couple code, so that classes are not tightly coupled with each other. The important thing is objects are not created directly in the classes, so that that's why the classes are not totally tightly coupled, and that's why we can test easily, it is reduced number of code, we can update easily. So that are the advantage. But hold on, what are the disadvantages? It's bit complex to learn, and if overused can lead to management issues and other problems. Okay. And many compile time errors are pushed to runtime, because we are using a dependency injection on runtime, so that's why there may be lots of runtime exceptions. Dependency injection frameworks are implemented with reflection or dynamic programming. This can hinder use of IDE automations such as find references, show call history, and safe refactoring. Matlab, there means there were in IDE there were many different uses. So we can some of uses, like hides, it hides some of the uses, so it like safe refactoring, call his hierarchy, or find references. So these uses we cannot use if we use dependency injection. So it's absolutely the different disadvantages are less, but advantages are many. So I hope you understand what is a dependency injection, and yeah, that is all about for this session. And yeah, if you like my video, if you understand a little bit of it, please like, share, and comment my video. If you have some suggestions, if you want some more clear explanation, just comment on my videos comment box, and I will get back to you. Thank you very much, and bye bye.